Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to This Week in Bitcoin. Today is November 24th, 2017. Strong hand, buy and hold. It's Black Friday, so don't waste your money out there. It's great you're here trying to learn and improve yourself. Learn about all the stuff that's been going on in Bitcoin. We got a worldwide cast today. And apparently I was just in Israel, and they actually do Black Friday in Israel for some reason. Also, I have no idea why. It's just commercialization all over this world. But speaking of Israel, we got Adam Perlow coming straight out of Tel Aviv. He's at Zen Protocol. We got Lorian Gamaroff coming out of Johannesburg. You all know him. He's a friend of mine and a returning guest. And we got Rick of Block Digest. If you're familiar with the minds of this space and the shows that are the must-watch shows, then you know Block Digest and you know Rick. We're going to talk about, and he's in Colorado, by the way, and I am back in Baltimore in the belly of the beast. So we're going to talk about all sorts of crypto dividends, all the exciting news from Bitcoin, altcoins. We're going to talk about Israel, South Africa, Zen Protocol. But let's start it off with like the FUD of the last 2 weeks, and Rick is going to cover this. Tell us what's going on with this Tether thing, and should people be worried? I've obviously told people not to be worried all along, and so what do you think? What's going on with Tether? Give us all you got about it.
And I hope that we can really just put it to rest here, just saying that this has really already gotten too much attention, and it's really kind of, I don't know, it's aggravating to see that people that we've always sort of had an understanding that this is kind of a test bed environment to test these things. And while Bitcoin is sort of stepping out of this experimental phase to where it's becoming a lot more legitimate, and maybe these other things should be held a little bit more high accountable, but to just all of a sudden say that this is the biggest problem in Bitcoin whenever it's a token that's offering a real use case, moving liquidity across exchanges. And furthermore, I feel like this is just it's outside of U.S. jurisdiction. There's a bigger problem here with the politics involved. It's a lot of heavy game theory there, where it's not just as simple and cut and dry. It's like these guys are breaking the rules, and so there's a problem here, and everything's going to be shut down. The sky is falling. I just, I feel like it's gotten way too much attention, and I hope we can sort of put that FUD down for a little while. And that's going to be a problem until we can get some sort of crypto to crypto decentralized exchanges all the time, or there's some sort of official crypto fiat that people want to use. But until then, Tether serves an important purpose, and I feel like this has been just something to help keep the price down. And I hope that people will stop, freaking out about something that I thought we were all pretty well aware of.
So you're saying you think there are some loud talkers out there that are just Bitcoin haters that are just to continue this narrative? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, I wouldn't say haters. I think they're just bringing something to light that definitely doesn't really need it as much of a spotlight as it's getting. I feel like, if you want to bring it up once because you feel like, there's something going on with the funds being frozen here or there, it's fine. But, to make several days and hour-long segments about it, it feels like you're just shining a light on a problem where, if we ran hour-long segments days in a row about one particular token, I wouldn't be surprised if something came out of the woodwork about it, where some problem was all of a sudden discovered. And this is a test environment, and that's an irresponsible thing, I believe, whenever you start over-reporting about something that's not really it's not really as big of a problem as it's being perceived.
And so you have no problems with Bitfinex, the exchange Bitfinex. That's all good to go for you, or you don't really care.
The space is really still unregulated. It's an unregulated. Every exchange really is unregulated. There's some exchanges that are closer to regulation than others, and Bitfinex has played a really strong role in kind of doing their own due diligence before regulations come in. So I respect that. And their thing with the BFX token, I respect that as well. It was something that I think a lot of people outside of crypto and just the business space recognize as kind of a smart move.
All right, so we have given a lot of attention to Tether to start off the show, and I'm tired of the subject myself. I think it's been way played out, but I did want to bring it up, and I know Lauren doesn't want to talk about it. Adam, did you have any thoughts on this Tether madness that's been going on, or?
Nah, I don't find it really of much interest. It's not that much money anyway, so whatever.
Yeah, I mean, so worldwide, our two guests outside the United States they don't care, and so I don't blame them. And Lauren, I don't want to put any words in your mouth there either. So if you do have anything to say, any comments on Rick's thing before we move on, you can say now. But I didn't think you did. Well, okay, good. So we got that out of the way. So everyone knows I was just in Israel for quite some time, and I was very impressed by the growing Bitcoin community out there. And I met Adam at the Tel Aviv Bitcoin embassy. And again, all three of these guys' links are below. Always check out the link section below. You can get this T-shirt below. You can get all sorts of awesome affiliate links, get your Trezor, all that good stuff. But Adam is involved with a project called the Zen Protocol, and we're going to get to that in a second. But Adam, I want you just to give everybody a little bit of your thoughts on what's going on in Tel Aviv, if it's been growing lately. And I know a guy from the Tel Aviv embassy just got on national TV there. Was that what just happened? Or just tell us, what do you think about Israel and Bitcoin?
Fair enough. So I believe maybe that was Many who was just on TV. Yeah. So I mean, the thing has gotten crazy. I find myself just walking around here. I'm in a shared workspace, kind of like WeWork, essentially, and you just hear people all the time talking about Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Everywhere you go, people are talking about the blockchain, how the blockchain this, the blockchain that. It seems like full on like cab driver style. People are talking about Bitcoin, and the blockchain and all that kind of stuff. The Israeli community has grown over to I think it's around like, I want to say 8,000, maybe even more today. People in the Facebook group, got to check. And essentially, in 2012, I want to say it was like 10. It's every single fund here is interested in it. I think it's completely crazy. The amount of people here who know about blockchain. Yeah. So it's off the chain.
Dude, well, that is really bullish news, and people love to hear what's going on.
I just want to update. My mistake. I got confused. It's 18,000, not 8,000 in the main Bitcoin Israel group.
Wow. And growing. And you're right. It is like cab driver talk. I mean, the Airbnb where I was staying at, I was talking to the owner, and he all of a sudden got all pumped when I said I talked about Bitcoin. He's like, I have to call my friend. You have to talk to my friend on the phone. It's exciting. And I gotta say, of all the places I've traveled in the world, the Tel Aviv Bitcoin Embassy, that is it's a great epicenter for the country, and it's a very unique place. So if you are in Tel Aviv, visit it. Jeffrey Tucker visited right before I was there. I missed him by like a second. But all sorts of people are visiting there. And so, Adam, thank you for that info. So what we're talking about, one unique area. Let's talk about Africa and Bitcoin and what's going on in South Africa, but specifically Lauren Gameroff, who is like the master of South African Bitcoin, the greatest South African Bitcoiner I know. Lauren, you were just at a conference in Ethiopia. Can you tell us what was going on up there, and what's this? We have a lot of South Africans watching right now too. I was messaged by someone. So hey South Africans, here's one of yours about to tell us what's going on.
Sure. So it was and also if this breaks up, let me know. My connection's a bit funny. So the United Nations had a 2-day conference where they were going to discuss blockchain and cryptocurrency and how it can bring value and create Africa. It's not just bankers anymore speaking about these things or securities companies. Obviously, big organizations like the UN are interested if this can solve problems, because that's what they're there to do, solve problems, then they want to hear about it. So I spoke along with Tawanda Kemba and a few other people. And what was interesting was that although it was titled working group or something, the whole first day really revolved around cryptocurrency and Bitcoin can replace fiat currencies. And my session was all about Zimbabwe and hyperinflation and how people are losing faith in their currencies. This is basically what I always want to talk about now. If I am invited to a seminar or a session, I don't talk about blockchain, talking about cryptocurrency and public cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. And I think it's because if you've been in the corporate space in blockchain for years, you start realizing that this hype bubble definitely is kind of feeling that it's moving into that drop off of disillusionment. Corporates have these POCs running and they're not really delivering anything, and it always comes back to world of money. So it's very exciting, especially in Africa, if that's what your focus is.
Well, very good update there. And yes, you mentioned Tawanda Kembo spoke there also, and we're all thinking about him because of the coup that just happened in Zimbabwe. I hope to get him back on soon enough. What do you have any thoughts about the rumors that it's going to be Bitcoin's illegal in Zimbabwe? Have you heard about that, Lauren?
Well, no, it's not illegal. Whenever you hear these statements, it's not that these guys are quoting something from some legislation. It's just their opinions. When they say it's not legal, it doesn't mean it's illegal. It's just that they haven't created any rules or policies around it to officially state. So Tawanda can still run his exchange. People can still buy Bitcoin and do what they like with Bitcoin. Also, I'm working closely with my central bank, the Reserve Bank, and they're very positive about Bitcoin. And that sentiment usually flows from South Africa continent. It looks at South Africa as probably the powerhouse of Africa or the largest economy. They look at what we're doing here, and there's been around Bitcoin being something that can be allowed to exist, and if there's been our regulators are going to certainly entertain that. So Zimbabwe, of course, they're going through turmoil right now and uncertainty, and there's going to be confusion, but I think that's not, Bitcoin is probably very far away from their to-do list. It's right at the bottom. So I don't think we should worry about it. In fact, I'm busy working very, very strongly to be able to make Bitcoin usable in Zimbabwe. And I'm going ahead and having a good time at it. And I feel like there's lots of opportunity to rescue a lot of people in that country and others.
Yes, just a reminder to everyone, Lauren and I were at Tawanda Kembo's Bitcoin conference in Zimbabwe a year ago. And Lauren was giving out Bitcoin to the people in attendance. $5 worth of Bitcoin each he gave out to people back then. And of course, the $5 that it's like we're $50 now. Bitcoin has gone up so much since then. But he got a lot of people involved. Lauren gives one of the best presentations around. Again, check out his links below. You can watch some of his presentations that are on his channel. And you just uploaded a new interview, actually. I haven't even gotten to watch it yet. So I am pumped about that. So we got a anyway, and by the way, everyone, pound that like button if you love this international crew. And hey, if you want to do the super chat, I will answer your questions. And we do have a super chat question. And this one's going to go out to Rick. Rick, what is the FUD with Dragon Slayer's mining Bcash stuff that is supposed to happen on Saturday? Have you heard about this, Rick?
Well, I mean, it sounds like that's kind of a combination of a couple of things. First off, the Dragonmint Miners were released this week, and so that's something that I'm sure he's kind of referring to, because the Bclashic guys they did place an order for some of those miners, but those miners won't be shipped till March. So I mean, that's not. But now, if he's speaking about what kind of miners are mining that we're supposed to be mining Bcash that are mining Bclashic, well, to tell you the truth, Bitcoin Cash hard forked from Bclashic. Bclashic is Bitcoin Bcash. So I mean, there was some nodes and miners left over from the network that didn't switch over, and so it's possible that those people were mining on Bclashic, and there are still some people mining on Bclashic. And I've got an update on Bclashic if you want to go ahead and get into that.
Yeah. Actually, we do want to first of all explain what Bclashic is, and then as I think not everyone's familiar with it, and then update us on the situation, and then we'll actually talk about the Dragonmint also eventually. But yeah, and I'm sure the other guests will have something to say about Bcash also. I'm sure Lauren will definitely. But continue.
So Bclashic is Bcash. Bcash hard forked on that was in November, and then November 1st, and then so they hard forked again because their EDA was messing up to where their inflation was just getting out of hand, and they would have mined all 21 million before way before 2020, and so it kind of they were like, okay, well, we need to fix this, so they hard forked that again. Except what we're starting to learn with all these forks, and what we should have learned with Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, is that you really don't ever get rid of the network that you're leaving. And, they hard forked really kind of, I don't know, just like thinking that everybody was going to move over because there is no replay protection on the Bcash side. What is now Bcash, Bclashic can be replayed on Bcash. And this is the sort of thing that I do think deserves attention whenever it comes to problems in the atmosphere. Whenever people talk Tether and stuff, it's like, this is a much bigger problem. It's this Bcash problem, Bclashic, and how exactly that's going to play out. And it's obvious that something's going on with this pump going on, and all this technical information is there as far as this being a problem. So anyway, what Bclashic is it's the original Bcash hard fork from November 1st with the EDA still in place. And, that in itself is like a weird economic model that might have some sort of price value in there. And, they'll mine all 21 million coins before anyone. And it kind of brings into question this BIP42, which is really like kind of a laughable thing, but it's something that we weren't really planning on dealing with until 2120 or something like that, because it doesn't happen until all 21 million coins are mined. So now we're kind of just faced with something where this was left behind, and we're not seeing any of these old chains die. And so it's moving along. They got 3 pools. One pool is up and running right now. It's the not Bcash pool, and I think that's linked down below. And you can also go to nicehash.com if you want to maybe donate some hashing power towards towards this fork to see it to fruition. Because these guys, they hard forked because supposedly they were going to fix a bug, and this was an upgrade, and so we see this thing through. And so we got that pool running. We got 2 other pools where they're being configured right now. And it's definitely something should be more in the forefront of the news, but I think it's not, just because that doesn't favor this pump and dump cycle of Rogers and Jahans, is the fact that they got this huge technical problem sitting in the shadows, and it does do a good service to keep that shadow darker whenever you start talking Tether FUD all week. So I really feel like this needs more light. People need to go on there, and they need to pay attention to this Bclashic, because it is a meme, it is kind of a joke, but it's got, so is Classic. These things they stick around, and I think that this is going to be a big problem for Bcash, and it's just showing that the market is not really
that old chains cannot be abandoned. You said that on the other show, and it was very inspirational when you said that nothing can be abandoned in this space. Nothing can be guaranteed as abandoned, and that's very unique. And it was a very interesting point, I thought, that you put out there.
Also, I think we're seeing, just before we move on, is this is really all these different airdrop forks that are coming in. It's really just helping define what is Bitcoin with the rule set. It's like the rule set and the incentive helps define Bitcoin. And we're seeing that all these different rule sets that are coming out, you can't just fork and call yourself Bitcoin whenever you have a different incentive structure. That incentive structure is pretty much everything. It's a lot. It's big.
Now, a simple way of, for anyone who's confused, if you have Bcash, and this is this is a crypto dividend of Bcash. You can think of it that way. It's a simple way of it, but it's a complex, and it being alive causes some problems for Bcash. So, Lauren, have you heard about this at all in your neck of the woods? Have you heard that the original Bcash that was supposed to unanimously fork someone is keeping it alive, basically?
Yes, obviously I have heard about it, and with all these forks and all that, I'm quite happy to watch them and see how they grow and develop. And I think it'll just be like natural selection. There'll be some forks that survive and others that don't, and those that survive, there'll always be speculators trying to play with the price. Just the natural evolution of these cryptocurrencies, and I'm happy just to see how it plays out. As long as I guess I'm on the right chain and I'm not dumping the wrong coin, I'm going to make sure that I hedge my bets and see who comes out on top.
What have you noticed? These Bcash, obviously, if you've noticed the Bcash pumps, do you feel them natural? Do you think there's some manipulation, and do you care really?
Yes, of course I care. I'm excited about Bitcoin Cash. I think that it really we're seeing that Bitcoin is struggling a little bit with its confirmation times and all that. But I know a lot of Bitcoin don't really move their coin, so they don't really care. I think new people getting into Bitcoin, they don't have the kind of history. So they are looking at Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash as really, they don't have a eye to either one. They just look at which one is going to be easier to get, maybe cheaper, one that they can move easily. I have a friend who just recently off Coinbase, and then he wanted to move it into his Jax wallet, but then he had to pay a big fee. So I think that what we're seeing now is a very interesting battle playing out. I think that Bitcoin Cash is going to be a thorn in the side of Bitcoiners in the months and years to come. I don't know which way it's going to go, but I'm very optimistic about Bitcoin Cash being something that is usable. I'm basically using Bitcoin Cash because I'm one of those businesses that Bitcoiners, small blockers hate. And usable, and people to buy cups of coffee with Bitcoin. So if I'm going to be using any sort of Bitcoin, I'll be using Bitcoin Cash. But I think that the price is reflecting that. I think people are beginning to see that it's not that Bitcoin has the moral high ground here. I think people are looking at Bitcoin Cash as it definitely is Bitcoin. It has the same root. It's got the same blockchain. It has the same history. So as far as people saying that it's stealing and all that, I think that's just people moaning. I think that it's going to be interesting. I'm excited. I would love, as I said, Bitcoin to be something that I can send $5 of Bitcoin to people in my conferences, because that's really cool. That's a really cool coin, and I did it last year with you. There's no way I'm going to send people $5 of Bitcoin right now, but I'll certainly send them $5 of Bitcoin Cash, and that's how I think new people are going to be getting into the system.
Wow, everyone, you're hearing it from Lauren. I know there's some people that are like, whoa, what's going on? Adam has I never heard Lauren speak like this before. But hey, man, I put all sorts on here, and Lauren is a friend of mine and everything. And so you're hearing, there is another side of this story. The people like the Bcash. We got to go outside of our bubble here. I want to Adam. I haven't gone to Adam for a while. A lot has been said since we last talked here. What do you think about these forks? What crypto dividends, whatever you want to call them, about the Bcash situation, about Bclashic? Do you have anything to add to this discussion that we're in?
Sure. I think that the issue, a lot of this contention is essentially the result of the fact that when Bitcoin started, there was agreement that the way that votes are called is essentially by hash power. Now, given the fact that, there's been a huge disparity in what was predicted and what actually happened, essentially, you have a small set of people controlling the majority of the hash power. It's commonly agreed that, we can't use hash power in order to indicate people like the majority vote. That leaves us in this sort of situation where, there's no good way to dictate the majority vote. Coin voting was proposed as a way. I guess that didn't catch on. And I guess that the way today we measure, what people want is through flame wars on Twitter, or whatever it is, Reddit. And I think that this is something that, can be easily manipulated, and it doesn't necessarily reflect the economic majority. I think that you could see, for example, maybe Bcash and its rise is essentially the market adjusting for what people actually think and what is supposed to be think by what you see on Twitter and Reddit and social media a lot. With regards to things like Bclashic and Bdiamond and Bgold, and every day I hear about another one, I'd say that, I think it's very strategical. Essentially, the more these like mini forks you have, the more it seems as if there's no clear competitor to Bitcoin. So it's not really a war between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash anymore. It's a war between Bitcoin and all the alts, all the forks. And so essentially, there's a lot of incentive to create all these forks. So I think that people need to keep that in mind when they're viewing everything that's going on. I don't think that Bcash is going to go away anytime soon. That's my personal take on it.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's going away either, and we've gotten some interesting opinions about it. I want to say that Lorian might be returning to the show. We were going to have a debate eventually, and a Bcash will be part of the debate. Who he'll be debating, or if it'll be Lorian. But I just wanted to preview that possible debate that we're going to have here, a Bcash debate eventually, and Lorian might be talking the Bcash side. So if you're excited about that kind of thing, keep on tuning into this channel, because remember, every single day there's a new video here every day, and of course on Fridays it's always This Week in Bitcoin. Rick, did you have anything to add to all that? Because I know you have some different opinions.
Yeah, I mean, like everybody's entitled to what they think is going to work here. And I think that, you're right. You don't want to send somebody $5 in Bitcoin. You want to use that as a store of value. And I think we might start to see this fight between what is going to be the liquidity there. And, with my problem here with Bcash here is just like, we know it's centralized. We know it's pretty damn centralized. Like there are other things out there that are more decentralized than Bitcoin Cash. And whenever it comes to like what we're calling money, I would say that the decentralized consensus model for deciding what is money is pretty important in this. And so whenever you say that this is cash or it's money and it's centralized, I would kind of argue that point. I would say that you need more people out there to actually call it money, where Bitcoin Cash is just too highly centralized. And right now, as it stands, like I said, if you have, there's a wallet, Electron Cash, 2.92, and there's too many problems out there to where if you want to send Bcash to someone else, like you better make sure they're using their hard forked Bcash, because if they send it to an older address, there's no confirmations are going to hit. So I mean, like there's a problem there. So, I mean, like, the fact that there's a problem there, the fact that it's centralized, I wouldn't necessarily call it money.
All right. I just want to see, anyone else have anything to add to that before we move on there? All righty then. All righty. Okay. So this week has been an exciting week of crypto dividends. Bgold, you can split it on your Trezor now. We've got this Bdiamond thing. And again, this channel is home of your crypto dividend news. We all knew about this beforehand. I've been talking about it for a while. I enjoy the free coins because you can turn it into Bitcoin. You got to be your own guy and decide when are you going to dump, when are you going to, are you going to hold or whatever. But the Bgold price, Bgold had a nice pump, and there are some people who are excited about it. And I did just want to get a quick poll, I guess, from our guys. Ask them, are they holding onto their Bgold? Are they planning on dumping it? And would they give any advice to anyone else about what to do with their Bgold? Adam.
I think that Bitcoin Gold, if I understand it correctly, is a change of the mining algorithm, right? That's what they're doing. They're going for a new mining algo. Yeah, well, personally, I got to say, like, full disclaimer here that we've actually had a different sort of mining algorithm we're proposing for this kind of thing, and to essentially enable people, to choose which mining algorithms they want. So if they say, well, SHA-256 is too centralized, they could move over to something else in a slow basis instead of using hard forks. I don't know. It seems to me that Bitcoin Gold is essentially someone I heard selling hardware and made this coin. So I think it's quite obvious the motivations there.
Yeah. Yeah, that is part of the reason. It's GPU stuff. So wait, I want to. You just touched on something here when you said we are trying to do this. Are you talking about who are you talking about?
Zen Protocol.
Okay, yeah. So this is a good segue. Tell us what this You work for this company, Zen Protocol. It's based in Israel, right?
Yeah.
And so tell us what you're trying to do. People are curious about this, and because it's a pertinent subject. It obviously you tied it in there. So go for it.
I mean, I'm more than happy to wait till the rest of the show and you go over your news.
No. That is interesting. I because you said it could do. You said some interesting things that it could do there. So go into that a little bit.
So the particular thing I was talking about is our idea of multi-hash mining. Say essentially you have 10 blocks. In a given 10-block interval, maybe half are SHA-2 and half are SHA-3. Over time, users can essentially vote and say, we want to have, let's say, 6 out of the 10 blocks or 8 out of the 10 blocks to be SHA-3. What this results is in a situation where, up until you had the Bcash fork, right, there was a lot of like a Cold War tension there, where essentially the users could say they want the miners to do something, but the only way that they could actually enforce that threat was by hard forking and killing the price of Bitcoin. And so it was a situation where it's like this, mutually assured destruction scenario. And the motivation behind essentially multi-hash mining is saying you're giving users a credible threat, an effective recourse where they can say, listen, if the miners don't listen to me, we can slowly transition off of their proof of work function. That seems that it wasn't. Yeah, did I not do a good job explaining that?
No. This is good. So you propose that you've got a solution to some of these issues here, basically.
Well,
all right, good. Does that? I'm glad you got that. Lorian or Rick, do you have any thoughts on what he just said? If that's an interesting type of, I'm putting it out there. I'm just pulling. I thought we were talking about this at the end also, but this is great that it was tied in there.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not really too familiar with the Zen protocol. I'm gonna have to look into that more. But I'm give it a shot. I'm gonna go look into it for sure.
Yeah, there you go. You're hearing about it here first. All right, Lauren, if you have any thoughts on that, share. But if you don't, tell us what are you doing with your Bgold, or do you even care about the Bgold?
No, I don't care about it at all. I think GPU mining is a bad idea. I don't think it's as secure as the specialized mining that ASICs give us. So as soon as I figure out how to split it on my Trezor, I know there's a beta on my Trezor, but I'm not going to install it yet. As soon as I do, I'll split it and dump it somewhere.
Yes. Now remember, everyone, you can split it now. I actually split mine today. If anyone's curious, so I found the Trezor to be very good for that. Pound that like button if you like Trezor making these things easy for you. And also, thank you again for the super chat. Who was it? Lou Verado gave that question earlier. If anyone wants to do that again. All right, Rick, what do you think about the Bgold situation pumping? And did you dump yet? And what do you? And are you going to hold, or what are your?
I think that's probably what I'll do is hold. Is like I did the Bcash split and dumped, and I mean, like, I don't have that much Bitcoin to begin with. I'm using this much more as a store of value, and there's a risk there with splitting these until something like Trezor comes along, and I mean, and implements their own little splitter. So I'll probably just leave it there and not risk it. And same with all these future things. I mean, like, there's a chance I could make like 0.0 something Bitcoin. It's not worth it.
Well, I did want to add there two things. First of all, if you sell some of your crypto dividends, I think people should sell at least some, not hold 100%, because you'll get more Bitcoin and thus you'll get more crypto dividends the next time around. It's an interesting way of looking about it, thinking about it that I was thinking of. The other thing is with this Bdiamond that has come up, that again, you heard about here first. Be very careful. Do not rush into it. Wait until there is an easy solution. Because it's really tempting when you see it at 0.08, because you get 10 Bdiamonds for every 1 Bitcoin you have. but do not rush into it just yet. There's a lot of talk on Twitter about it. Put pressure on Trezor and Ledger Nano and all of them to make an easy solution that is safe, because I can see a lot of people getting hurt by this. And that is one of the negatives of crypto dividends that I have this. It is free money. It's great. But if you rush into these things, there are so many scammers that surround it and just build an ecosystem off of everyone's, the 80% being very impulsive. They're going to be impulsive people who are going to want to jump into this thing ASAP. Do not be one of those people, because everybody saw with Bgold, people try to jump into it. They're giving their private key away to get their Bgold. They're giving it to some scammer who has nothing to do with Bgold. So we're going to see this repeat with, I'm sure this week we're going to see it repeat with the Bdiamond, and then we got Super BTC coming up. Who knows what else we got coming? So anyway, that's your public service announcement for Adam Meister there. Okay, let's go to Dragonmint with Rick. What's up with that?
Well, yeah, earlier this week we had the Dragonmint miner come out, and that might have been what else that super chat was referencing, because there was it was released suddenly, and when it was released, there was the claims that it's more efficient and it runs cooler, and a lot of people kind of got upset about the way that the sale was going, about they didn't see enough proof that it was efficient. And but let me just get into the technicals of it. Is like, it was being released, and they are for sale right now, and they do run more efficiently and 30% more cooler than the S9s. And let's see, they're using a DM8575 ASIC, and it runs 85 gigahash, and for only 0.075 joules per gigahash, which is, that's super efficient. And it's pretty big improvement. So it's like it's not. I understand people saying, like, I want to see proof and everything, but they need to understand that the way the mining industry works is it's important that you have your engineering specs. As soon as they're pushed out, you don't want anybody to know what you're engineering. Like, if the competition wants to reverse engineer it after it's been shipped, that's fine. Reverse engineer it and see if you can make it run more efficient. But for right now, that should be understood. And just another thing where it was kind of like the sale people were we're not seeing these things. Like, these, they need to get their money and get this design to fab, and that's like one of the most important parts whenever you come to this mining industry, is getting your design to fabrication, and it's all about a race to that. So not giving up the actual design and the real efficiencies, because really, the only suspicion that I've heard that kind of makes sense is they're not really showing how efficient it is. Like, it might be a lot more efficient than it's being, touted right now. It's just sort of like saying it is more efficient, but whenever they get these in their hand, they're going to see that they're a lot more efficient. And we might be seeing these Dragonmint miners running the game for a while. And, this is where, you got this Bclashic problem for Roger, and these, more and more mining companies coming on, not just Dragonmint, which, I should say that Dragonmint is being produced by BTC Drek, which is like a really well-known guy in the space, and one of the main core contributors. And I can understand that this is going to be something to contend with. And I know that the GMO guys, they'll probably have a batch coming their way to reverse engineer it as soon as possible. And it's something where these guys have been comfortable on their thrones for a while, but things are about to start shaking up.
Excellent. Pound that like button if you like competition, people. Pound it. All right, Lorian, what are your thoughts on Dragonmint?
Well, if they deliver a good product and they don't screw anybody over, then great. It's nice to have new innovations and better hardware that's coming out. So I'm excited. I think time will tell if they're just scammers, and if they are, then they will die pretty quickly. So good luck to them.
You will believe it when you see it, basically, I guess.
Adam, they're shipping in March of next year, but believe it.
Believe it, baby. Adam, what do you think about this situation?
Of course, I mean, I welcome any sort of new mining people who want to compete in this market. I think it's important. It's been a while. I think that, back in the day, you had all these guys, Butterfly, Avalon, Spondulis, shout out to Guy Coram, a bunch of them. And unfortunately, they all kind of, just dissipated either because they were scams or just because it wasn't profitable. So it's great to see, the market kind of stabilizing and having new competitors come out into the market.
Yes, very nice. And Adam, did you have any thoughts on that? I didn't give you if you wanted to mention that the Bdiamond thing or anything else about the various altcoins that are forking off through the crypto dividend method. If you had any other thoughts on that.
I mean, yeah, it's quite it's just kind of predatory behavior by opportunistic people. But yeah, not much just to comment there.
Well, it could be interpreted that way, but as holders, we do benefit once people pump the price of it up, and if they are safe, I'll add that. But yeah, it's definitely a way of looking at it that way too. People are going to take it's going to be a year of crypto dividend forks next year. Definitely, people want to make money, and hey, it boils down to that a lot sometimes. So don't get scammed though, people. Don't. There's probably going to be a few that are totally fake that are just going to be there to take your private key. Okay, Rick, the floor is yours. Are there any subject matters that you wanted to discuss that we actually did not get to talk about yet?
Let me run through these notes real quick. So yeah, I just wanted to say that, this Bcash pump that's going on right now, like, there was some commenters from Korea that were saying that, they're starting to recognize Roger and Jahan for like kind of a pump and dump scam crew where they are. I mean, this is the sort of thing where we're saying like the market will realize. And I think that, this eventually, Bcash can go as far as it wants, but I mean, like this whole market manipulation thing, I think will be flushed out. It'll be seen for what it is. We're already starting to see more crackdowns and stuff in Korea. Recently, there was a group of people that were put down for running a pyramid scheme based on Bitcoin. So I think that, that was the main other thing I wanted to cover. Just one more thing is let people know that, Block Digest is going to be coming back here shortly. And, probably be out in another week or so. But, I've heard some people giving us trouble because it's we put a stop on a season. And, I just want to let people know that, like, that first season was really experimental and just a pilot. And then the second season was really just kind of nailing down the production of things. And then I'm really excited about this third season. We should be nailing it down to where we'll have like longer form, more in depth than it has been. And maybe, these longer shows will just, prove to be a little bit more, informative. And hopefully we can have that out shortly. But until then, there will be some other content coming out. I know that, Chris is going to try and make it over to that Baltic Honey Badger Bitcoin conference and do some interviews there. We might see some content put out there. And I know that, Agnex is working on the Bitcoin bus. Shinobi's working on some code. I'm working on a meetup. We're all doing stuff behind the scenes. We're trying to get things together. But yeah, be prepared for more Block Digest and a little bit more nailed down from this point on. And maybe we won't be doing so many season breaks.
Well, let me tell you, the Block Digest channel, it's for the thinking man. If you're into like fancy graphics and things exploding and altcoin flavors of the month, then don't go there. But if you want to learn, just like this channel, you keep it simple on a certain level, but in terms of thinking, it's complex. You're going to learn stuff. You're going to get different opinions. And I really like what they're doing over there. It is linked to below. But before we move on to Lorian here, Rick, what do you think about the YouTuber ecosystem in our space? How it's just exploded lately.
I've seen some good content, and like, it's good to see people coming in. But yeah, it is kind of like that meme where you see like the view counts and the subscribers for people saying like, here's the altcoin, here's what's being pumped. That those are way up, and a lot less people do come to the understanding Bitcoin part where we're trying to define this thing on a daily basis, and we're trying to figure out what's going on in the space from a technical level. It's it's not easy getting into. I mean, it's definitely a little bit more complicated than just looking at a price and watching that move. But I think, you know, as more people learn that there's a lot of technical aspects behind this that give Bitcoin value, they'll start to seek that information out. And hopefully, yeah, they'll come to, you know, channels like ours and yours, and, you know, they'll start to figure out what Bitcoin is. Because, you know, I saw a good series of tweets between Adam Back, Eric Lombroso, and Luke Deshear talking about defining Bitcoin. You know, it's a complicated thing and it changes daily. And so, you know, it's something you got to stay up with.
Strong hand, people. Be a holder. Don't be tempted to get rid of your Bitcoin because of the latest altcoin flavor of the month. You will regret it. Okay, Lauren, Rick actually mentioned some Bcash stuff there. You might want to comment on that and what you think the real Bitcoin is, because he mentioned some guys trying to define what Bitcoin is. I'm sure you have a slightly different definition. And please add anything that you want to say that's been left out of the show. I don't want to pigeonhole you in like a Bcash corner here or anything. So the floor is yours, Lauren Gamaroff.
That's fine. You can pigeon me in the Bitcoin Cash corner, though. That'll be fine. I'm happy with that. Yeah, you know, it's amazing actually what this Bitcoin done to the world. You know, I've been involved with open source development for years, and there's always been these projects that little communities have gathered around, and it's captured the imagination of every person on this planet, it seems, like Bitcoin. This idea that this open source technology be accessible and can change your life. It's not just a piece of code. You know, it's a way we can make money, or we can you know, change the way we transact. It's really incredible being part of this movement, seeing channels like yours and others grow and start these communities, and everybody has an opinion, and there's all sorts of people. Some are technical, some are economic, some are marketing types like Adam. Movement that's happening in the world today, where people are getting into this kind of social, you know, this technology that is changing how we think about the way the world is run and the way the world should be run. So it's been incredibly exciting and quite you know, if you are in the communities and you follow people on Twitter and you read everybody's comments, and you know, it's all out there, and it can become really emotionally draining. And I find that when I walk away, although it's difficult to, I actually get replenished. You know, I feel much better, even though I feel like I'm missing out on the latest news. But you know, it can become quite unhealthy, especially when you get the very loud trolls arguing and going at each other. You know, it's fun and exciting on one level, but it's also kind of you know, angsty. So I'm glad to see it all happening. It's nice that a technology can do this to the world, can make everybody. And I'm pleased to be part of this. You know, it's not like the internet back when I was doing my computer science degree in the 90s. I was kind of swept along by the internet, but to not just be swept along by this technology, but to also be in some way the shapers. You know, with our tweets or with our YouTube channels or with our blogs, we can somehow shape opinion and guide things in a certain direction according to our ideologies. Everybody has the ability to do so. It's not only those people who are technically competent enough to be able to write, or economically competent enough to know what makes something worthwhile. You know, we all can have a voice. We can all have an opinion, and we can all have followings, or we can be part of movements that you know, create subcultures that can become significant in them. So it's really fun. And even though Adam, you and I, we differ on the Bitcoin Cash thing, you call it Bcash, we can still be friends. You know, we can still walk this path together, and let's see how it turns out. At the end of the day, it's not the system. I think all of us have that common theme where we're sick of the system. You know, we want change, and this is that sort of change. So hopefully soon we can stop focusing internally on each other and throwing stones, and we can remember we're supposed to be throwing stones as the big guys, you know, running the show. They're the enemy, not us. So I'm pleased that we can all be together and discuss these things, even though we have different opinions.
Well, very well put. And you did remind everyone, sometimes you got to take a break. And a lot of us in America took a break from this during Thanksgiving. And I think maybe it'll lend some clarity to the situation. People will be calmer after their turkey meal. Who knows? But Lorian does point out, Lorian and I, we've been friends for quite some time in terms of cryptocurrency time. We met each other in 2015 in South Africa, and he's one of my best friends in this space. And no, we don't agree on everything, but hey, that's the beauty of life. You got to be a gentleman, and he is a gentleman. And hey, I'm going to be back in South Africa hanging out with Lorian March 8th, 9th, and hopefully on the 10th, we're going to have a Bitcoin Meister event down there for all you South Africa people. We're still working on that aspect of it. So keep on tuning in for South African updates. I love the people in South Africa. There is cryptocurrency enthusiasm there, and it's great to be at the tip of the spear with Lorian, who definitely is all that is cryptocurrency in South Africa. And we'll have more South African guys on. Hopefully Ran will make it on here soon. He's the host of the CNBC show that I've been on, and obviously Lorian's been on. So Adam, you're going to be the conclusionary dude of the day. First of all, I don't know if you have anything to add to what has just been said, but I do want you to tell everybody a little bit more even about the you tell them, you've given the Zen protocol pitch, man. So and mention anything that it was forgot, that you think should have been mentioned during the show also.
Sure. So, I mean, I'd say that just a few points since I last spoke. I'm very happy to see a very large community of people talking about Bitcoin. We kind of the YouTubers, the people who are showing people the way. I think there's some sort of epistemic responsibility there. It kind of bothers me sometimes. You see some misleading, or but that's just one note. And I agree with Lorian that we need to remember that the fight here is against the system, not against each other. That's about my comments on what I just heard. Generally, Zen protocol actually was motivated by this. It's funny to say, we started this a year and a half ago by this motivation to preserve Bitcoin at its position, to provide Bitcoin with better smart contracting abilities, better ability to do finance than what competitors had at the time, back around when you had the DAO hard fork. And so I guess essentially in a nutshell, Zen protocol is a mechanism to do decentralized finance. It's not a fork of any sort of code base. We've written everything ourselves. We provide all the solutions that you need in order to enter any sort of derivative or position without having to trust any third party to hold your funds. And unlike other platforms, we don't use a virtual machine or anything like that. We use something called resource bounds in order to enable a total language to do a decentralized computation. That's the highlight of it. Well, and it's integrated with Bitcoin, so you can use your Bitcoin to enter these smart contracts.
Dude, so this is sort of competing with Ethereum on a certain level. What do you think of Ethereum?
I think that Ethereum was motivated in order to, be a programmable layer for decentralized applications. And I think, in doing that, it's maybe, well suited. But I think that but I don't think a blockchain is good for, any sort of dApp. I think it's good for finance. And if you want to do something for finance, maybe you want something a bit different. Maybe you actually want to have these sort of like independent contracts, not dApps, that are like a contract, or not dApps that act like a token. Maybe you really want to have something custom built for finance. And so I think that Ethereum, because they stayed very generalized, maybe they won't be the winner in this use case, which I feel they're being used most for, which is finance, essentially.
Dude, this guy knows his stuff. I mean, you're creating something pretty unique over there. I urge people that are technical dudes to look into all this. I am definitely not a technical guy. Adam clearly is. This is awesome. We try to bring you new things that you're going to hear about. You'll probably be hearing about this in 2018. So if you hadn't heard about it before, you heard about it here first. And that's what this channel is about, bringing you stories that you don't read about in the usual suspects and everything. You're going to get unique information here. They're not going to be fancy setter graphics, but you're going to be able to pound that like button after you've learned some new information. So everyone, thank you, Adam, Rick, and Lorian, for being on the show today. Thanks to all the live viewers who are pounding that like button all over the globe tonight or today, depending where you are. I'm Adam Meister. I will be back here tomorrow because I do post a new show every day. Check out the link section below. You'll get links on all of these guys, what they're all about. I'm Adam Meister, Bitcoin Meister, Disrupt Meister. Remember to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video. Do check out the notes section below. We do this show every week, and I do a new show every day. Talk to some of you in the chat afterwards. Spread the word. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye, everybody. See ya.